Welcome to the Patron Saints of Pop Culture podcast. I'm Miguel Covarrubias.
And I'm Kathy Covarrubias. And today, let's talk about the OA Season 1, Episode 2.
We want to invite you to watch the OA with us as we were working our way through Season 1. This is to give us a chance to kind of work on some of our other episodes and some of the other things that we've got coming up. Like next week, we're working on The Magicians. So you should definitely tell us what you want to talk about today.
Yes, yeah. We'll give you some more information on how to send your feedback on Magicians Season 3.
Yep. At the end of the podcast.
Yes.
So, our usual summary and review. Let's see. This episode was the continuation of the story of the OA's childhood and how she came to be in America if she was the daughter of a Russian oligarch. And then it followed French for a little bit.
The end?
Yeah, that's my summary.
I was waiting for something else, and I'm like, and you're not talking anymore. Okay.
No, that's my summary.
Gotcha. Okay. So, my summary is that the OA story was so intriguing that the five come back to hear her tell more about her past life. Is it real? Is it not? Who knows at this point? She could just be some old crazy lady who's just inviting strangers into this abandoned house. We don't know, but the story still good. So they come on back. The end.
The story still could know.
I am still kind of getting over a cold, so my words aren't right now.
Honestly, this is the episode where I was kind of like, well, do we really want to continue on with this? I don't know yet, because yeah, I would say this is probably not as good as the first episode. We'll say where it is in ranking of the episodes, maybe at the end of the season, but it was not one of my favorites.
No, this episode was fine, I guess. I would agree that it wasn't as great because it didn't have that, like, attention-grabbing ness as the first episode did. And it was pretty much just kind of a picking up where you left off kind of a situation. I
think the storyline with Hap kind of gets buried a little bit, and that was the hook for this episode, and it got buried, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
But it did set up the rest of the season, so you can't really fault it too much.
No, I mean, obviously we still were interested enough to continue watching, so.
And you have to say, the cinematography was just brilliant with the that moment where he's leading her down into the cell, and you can't see anything. Like, you don't know what's going on either because, it's so focused on her.
That was good.
Just brilliant cinematography in that moment.
But rewatching it, you're just like, oh no, here it is. Go, leave, turn around.
Run. Run, prairie. Run to the prairies. Okay. So, I really want to talk about the parenting styles, because I really feel like this was the thread that I picked up throughout this episode was on parenting. You got to see a little bit more of the father's parenting in Russia. Well, not really in Russia because she's now in the United States at this point, but his parenting from afar, if it actually happened or not. But it's continuing that thread from the first episode at the end there, the last 10 minutes, right after you saw Brad Pitt's name. And we're like, oh, Brad Pitt produced this? So I really wanted to talk about especially how parents kind of dealt with the unknown in this. I don't necessarily want to say paranormal or supernatural, but like the unknown in terms of things that we don't know about. like dreams. We have no idea what dreams are, and we have no idea if they are like some like subconscious messaging to us, or if they're just our brain unwinding from the day, or what they are. I mean, some of my best ideas come from dreams for stories. So, like, I'm going to be writing some of those down soon. But, like, what are they? And it's not like something that we can answer, but
yeah, there's definitely a lot of people who think that their dreams are telling them the future, or what I think personally, because for a while there I was really into like interpreting my dreams. What I think it really helped me with, it wasn't necessarily determining the future, but it was kind of helping me with my decision making ultimately.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I would read, what I would do is I would write down my dream, and then I would open up my dream dictionary, which there's a bazillion of them online. And I would look up what the dream, according to the dream dictionary, you know, what each thing means. And of course, if it wasn't relevant in my life, I would just like toss it out because I'm like, that has nothing to do with what's going on right now. But then in other circumstances, like, it made me realize things like, right now, you are in a stressful situation in your life. And I'm just like, I am. And I haven't acknowledged this. I am stressed. You know, I do feel a lot of anxiety right now, and I haven't acknowledged that, which is very helpful because sometimes it's hard for us to realize we're in those stressful situations until it's too late.
Yeah.
Because it's just part of our nature as being people. Mm-hmm. So, I do think that dreams can be helpful, but I don't necessarily think that biologically they have a set purpose.
Well, and I think really, I don't think that any of us really have anything really has a set purpose. Everything is sort of random to me. Now, that's those of you who know me, that's a big statement for me to make. Because I'm a former youth minister, and that's really saying that there is no plan. Anyway, I talked about that recently, and I think this is something that as parents we all encountered in different ways. Like going back to episode 1, where her father, when the OA was telling him about her dreams, that he took her out to this frozen lake and cut a hole in the lake and was like, all right, get in there so you won't be afraid of the cold water and drowning, which is probably a little too extreme, but I really kind of like that. He could have done it better. He maybe just taken her to a pool or something.
Hey, that was what I was going to say, Miguel.
But
you took it from me.
Sorry. What do you think of her father's methods?
Well, I think he could have taken her to a pool instead. Okay, really just kidding, though. I think that I agree with you that he's being too extreme. I wouldn't have done exactly what he did, but I think that it's really good that he actually recognized that she was legit scared of this, scared of this happening. It was a real fear that she felt, and he decided that he was going to take charge and help her in any way that he saw fit at the time. And I do think that parents will tend to overlook their kids' fears or kind of just write them off instead of figuring out why they have those fears, which can be kind of dangerous sometimes.
Well, and I know we're going to talk about this here in a little bit, but for instance, with his Sunday evening phone calls, like, I really feel like that's what he was doing with those, was trying to alleviate some of her fears.
Yeah.
Like saying, we're going to be together again. We're going to be a family again. But, which, like I can imagine like being away at a different school, at a boarding school in the middle of the United States, a place that she doesn't know. And, she doesn't know the people there. Do you think that, the phone calls were good for her or not?
Of course they were. I mean, it showed her that he still cared about her and that he had not forgotten about her, which is very important in that type of situation where you're separated from your parents. You need to know that they're still there and that they're still there to support you and they love you.
All right. Well, let's contrast his parenting style with her aunt's parenting style.
You mean lack thereof?
Yes, primarily the lack thereof. Really, what do you think of the aunt in this situation?
Well, I know that in my view, when I was watching it, it seemed like she just was keeping her alive for the sake of making sure that she was alive. Like, she didn't really care all that much about her. It was just like, okay, everybody, here's another mouth we have to feed. Let's continue on with our lives. And she did just the bare bones minimum of taking care of her. I'm sure if CPS were called, that should probably be taken away anyway.
Well, and, you didn't have any instance of soon to be Prairie. I can't remember. Nina was her name before that?
I don't remember.
I think so. When you don't have any instance of her telling the aunt about her dreams or any of this.
Well, no.
Oh, there was that moment where she tells her about her dad's phone calls that no, her dad's not dead. Her dad's still alive. He's just hiding. And she's like, no, he's dead. That's. I don't know if I can really disagree with the aunt in that, just saying, no, he's dead.
Well, for all she knows, the aunt just got word that he is dead.
Yeah. And, for Nina, soon to be Prairie, soon to be the OA, for her sake, I don't know. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit about her story. Let's focus on Abel and Nancy now, because they come into the picture here, and they take on this parenting role for her, which they just seem like great people, like just good and genuine people automatically from the start.
Good middle class, middle Americans.
Yeah, they want to have children, and they couldn't, and so they're going to do whatever they can to get that child. So, I want to focus primarily on the scene where Nancy wakes up and Abel is recording Prairie, and she's having those dreams. Do you think what Nancy did was right to stop Abel, to kind of stop Prairie in her dream to wake her up?
Well, during that moment, she has a knife in her hand, so I think in that specific time, yes. Child has a knife, you need to stop it. Especially that young. In their sleep.
Yeah.
But I do think that it was important for Abel to record what was going on, so they had better show of proof to the doctor about what was happening. Do I wish that they had recorded a little bit more just to show? Probably, yeah. But I do understand Nancy as to why she stopped it. I mean, I would stop Peter if he was in his sleep and had a knife.
I almost wanted to jump ahead to the future episodes because we do find out a little bit more about the taping and stuff like that. But we're not going to talk about those yet because we're still on episode 2.
No, I'm focusing on episode 2 on that scene.
Yes.
Which is what I'm talking about.
Well, and this kind of begs the question of, do you think it's okay to medicate kids? And really what she was feeling afterwards, where she just kind of felt numb. I don't think that, in my own opinion, that it's okay to do that to kids is to that frame,
Yeah. Now, I do think that kids, depending on the circumstance, medication is good and medication is helpful. But I do think that parents and doctors need to work together to find a good balance so then the kids don't feel numb. I mean, obviously, when you're starting to take medication, you have that weird in-between period where ooh, this medicine is new to me and I feel kind of loopy. But eventually you even yourself out. But I don't think it's good for kids to feel numb. I think that there should have been some talk with the doctor. And who knows, maybe Prairie didn't say exactly what she wanted to say to Nancy, like when she was younger. Like, I don't like to take the medication because it makes me feel nothing. Or like, it doesn't make me feel anything. We don't know if that conversation ever happened.
Well, and she also said it didn't stop the dreams.
Exactly. And that's kind of what Nancy was kind of worried about, was that the dreams are still coming. Sure, maybe she wasn't sleepwalking, but the dreams are still coming.
And, I mean, I understand Nancy's trepidation about the entire thing. And really, I don't think that medication should be there just to keep somebody on it. Not that you should stop taking your medication, but that
there's sometimes when
you should work with your doctor to kind of find a way to work your way off.
Well, there are some times when it's okay to come off of it, because there's sometimes when people need just depression medication and anti-anxiety medication for just a short period of time, but they don't necessarily have like some kind of anxiety disorder. But then there's other times when you need to be on the medication all the time. So it's definitely a conversation that you have to have with your doctor.
No, that's what I'm saying, is that you should work with your doctor to see if it's something that you need to continue, and in that case, I think that Prairie, should not have continued to be on it, especially if it was making her feel that way, or she didn't really feel anything.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if maybe it just was due to a lack of conversation between her mom and Abel and her over how she really felt about it.
Well, conversations that she doesn't have until the future, when in this episode, where like she's saying, no, I just need to go out for a walk. She doesn't tell him the full truth, but she does need to gain some of that independence from her parents. And yeah, she kind of did mess up a little bit in playing Steve's mother.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, she'd been gone from society for a while.
Yeah. But taking her door away, that's just a little extreme.
Did you ever have your door taken away?
No.
I did. I had my door taken away because I slammed my door. And so my dad took it away. You know what I did? I put up a bed sheet. He did not take that very well.
But I still think that Abel's like a fantastic father figure. And I think it's a lot to say for Scott Wilson's acting ability. May he rest in peace. Because not only this, but also in The Walking Dead, where, he was just like one of those fathers that you want to be like that father. Mm-hmm. I remember watching that, and I remember thinking, oh, I wish I can help Peter climb a tree. And, none of our trees are small enough for him to climb, but...
Oh, yeah. Our problem isn't that the trees are too small. Our problem is that the trees are too tall.
They're too tall. They're way too big. Mm-hmm. And, I just wanted to take a moment to say, Scott Wilson, brilliant actor.
Yes. Yep.
May he rest in peace. Mm-hmm. I'm really wondering if they already filmed his scenes for part 2, or anyway, that's something that I can speculate on later. We don't have to put that in the podcast. Now let's shift to French a little bit. We see in this episode that French is really the acting parent for his family. That, he's taking care of his little brothers there. He's taking care of his mother. He's still doing school. He's doing well in school, you see, because of the scholarship.
Oh, yeah.
Granted, his drug use is not a good part of this scenario.
What are you talking about? No, I'm just kidding. Drugs are bad, everybody.
Yes, drugs are bad. That's the bad medication. Talk to your doctor. I was really stuck on how his mother really was treating him, especially when he's excited about the scholarship. He's excited about going to college, and his mother sort of made him feel guilty about this. How do you feel about that guilt from a parent like that?
Well, I am, especially in his circumstance, I think it's very unfair. Here is this kid trying to better himself, and not only by bettering himself, will he have a better future, but he would be able to help better take care of his family if he does this. I mean, granted, we all know that just because you have a college degree doesn't mean that you're actually going to earn minimum wage.
Yeah.
Well, not minimum wage, a median wage. You'll obviously earn minimum wage, but you know what I mean? You can't always guarantee that just because you have a college scholarship, you're going to be able to provide for your family, but it is a step above the current situation.
True.
And she's obviously being selfish about it, and so that's why she's laying on the guilt.
And I think that scene really sets up that, I mean, now that I think about it, I really feel like maybe she's using that to get free parenting, free help for the two younger children.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's very clear that that's part of the thing that because she's not helping getting them ready. You know, she's not making sure that they have breakfast, and she's just hanging out in her room doing whatever she's doing.
Well, yeah, she's kind of given up on that on life and everything else. And then, do you think that this guilt was, in essence, to make French stay and parent the other two through school?
Yep.
Yeah, I just, I don't have experience with this. I didn't have a parent that really kind of gave up on us, but I really feel bad for that. I really feel bad for French, which I don't really feel like the drug use was necessarily a just completely out of left field thing. But
no, it's a way for him to cope, and a way for him to
cope and keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Keep up with what his workload is.
Well, yeah, because that's I have no idea. Probably an upper, get him through the day. Mm-hmm. So I have no idea because I am not a druggie. So
contrary to the shirt he's wearing currently.
Hey, it's comfortable.
Yeah, we have to describe it now that I said it. So tell him what you're wearing. Miguel today is wearing a fashionable.
It's one of those knit sweaters that's you can get them in Mexico. They are just, they look like they're just kind of, they're handmade, and they are. And so it's just, as somebody described it, they said it was a drug rug.
Yep.
But it's comfortable and warm.
It is comfortable and warm.
And it's been like 0 degrees this week, so.
Yes, it's been very cold here.
We are dealing with a polar vortex.
Well, not anymore. It's gotten better. It warmed up to 16 degrees today, everybody.
Heat wave.
We can take our coats off now. All right, so kind of going off, back to the OA's dreams. All of her dreams had a little sense of, not all of them. She's had a sense of hope along this episode, I think. And she had a lot of hope in the impossible, like finding her dad in New York, which finding your neighbor in New York is hard enough, let alone finding your dad in New York, especially at a tourist spot. You know what I mean? I don't know what she was thinking, but anyway.
If you're blind and trying to find somebody in New York, that's just almost an impossible task.
It's almost impossible unless you actually legit made plans over the phone. It's going to be impossible. But she had such strong faith and hope that her dreams were pointing her in the right direction of where she needed to be, that she didn't think about the bad outcomes that could possibly happen, like getting kidnapped.
Yeah.
She had no idea. But one thing I do have to say is that the OA seems to, when she comes across disappointment or hardships, she only seems to falter just for a moment, just for a little bit, and then she just picks herself up and keeps on going. She has great motivational skills, like self-motivational skills, which I have no idea where she got that from, but I definitely admire it because I am lacking in that department a lot of the times. But what do you think actually keeps her motivated, keeps her going? What do you think is the driving force?
Well, like you said, I think it's hope. It's hope that things will get better, and especially that to not see her dad again, because obviously she's blind, but to be in his presence again. And I mean, that's just something that motivates you. That's like, for me, just knowing that I get to spend time with you and with Peter is a motivating factor for me, that, I can get through the next 10 minutes of work because, I know that I'm going to be going home to see you and to see my son. So,
yep. But it's like, but the heartache and the disappointment she experiences are like big.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Huge.
Yeah. Have you, like, and you've already kind of said what has motivated you, but when you get into that kind of circumstance where it is a big thing, what keeps you motivated besides like being with Peter and I? Like, do you have anything that keeps you going? Or like, how do you handle it?
It's a little different now. I think previously it was that I had this idea that I was doing a good work in the world, that I had a purpose and I was working towards that purpose with my ministry. And, losing that was rather devastating for me. And so trying to reevaluate my priorities was a big part of that reshaping who I was, now that I was no longer needed as a minister, or as, whoever I saw myself as. And so I'd say that my motivations, what keeps me going, is just to see what this path has for me, what life will bring, and reminding myself that it's going to be okay eventually. Granted, it wasn't for Prairie at the end of the episode, but she's the one telling the story, so eventually it was okay.
Yes, we know that she gets out eventually. Now think about, like, how the OA is constantly being blocked by the actual obstacles that come in her life. And obviously she handles it very well because, as we said, she picks herself up and keeps on going. Has there been like a recent obstacle in your life, and how did you handle it?
Well, this is why we're late recording the episode, is because last week we had to go to Montana to visit
my family
because we lost your stepfather. And I mean, just trying to organize that entire thing was just a huge obstacle. Trying to get our schedules aligned, and this has a lot to do with the whole parenting thing. Is that as losing a loved parent and a parent's loved one, is how do you comfort your parent? How do you become that person in that time? And, that's something that we're learning as a couple, too, is we're learning how to support each other through something like this, rather than one of us carrying the other one, rather than one of us being the strong one.
Because we have learned that does not work out for us.
Yeah. And so for this, it was just an obstacle, trying to overcome those things and trying to encounter ourselves in those moments, and trying to help support other people in these moments.
Well, and I think it helped too, to chime in, because I also think that this is the most recent obstacle for me as well, is that it helped. We kind of like bounced back and forth the decisions.
Yeah.
So like you decided, okay, you need to go, like you said to me, hey, Kathy, you need to go to Montana.
Yeah.
Soon, like right now. And I said, you're right. I need to go to Montana, but you are coming with me. So, like, you made the decision that I was going to go, but then I also made the decision that you were going to go.
Yeah.
So, I think it helped that we weren't alone in the sole decision-making of everything. It wasn't something that, yes, his passing did happen to us, but the things that we chose afterwards definitely were our own choices that we made together.
Definitely, and this is something that we see a little bit in the episode, where Abel and Nancy were planning on adopting the baby boy, but they encounter Nina Prairie and decide, no, she's our daughter. She's the one that we're taking.
Yep. Like, nope, sorry, this is the one. And then he's like, all right, yep, you're right. And I think that's good, though. I think that in certain circumstances, if you do have that other, like, brain, they don't have to necessarily be a partner, but, like, another body involved to help make decisions is very helpful. I think also, too, having a goal in mind also helped.
Yeah.
Like, once we figured out both of us are going to be going to Montana, then it's like, okay, well, then now we have to worry about finding a sitter for the dog. And so we focused on that. And like, okay, we got that taken care of. Now we got to move on to the next thing. And when it comes to moments of crisis, especially when it comes to having a family member pass away like this, it did in my family. It was very unexpected. And so we just kind of had to move. It was a lot of, we got to move fast, but also at the same time, we're like, we don't have to move as fast as we think we have to.
Yeah.
And so we also kind of have to decide what needs to be done sooner rather than later. Mm-hmm. And so ultimately, I guess what I'm getting down to is make a list. Making a list is a very good way of trying to overcome those obstacles. Well, that's one way. Not everybody is a list person, but it definitely helps because for me, I don't know about for you, but for me, when something like this happens, my brain is just like shuts down and is like, now what? And so it really helps to make a list because it keeps me moving to point A, then to point B, then to point C, and I can kind of get remotivated that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's been helping my mom too. Like, she's also the type of person where she's like, okay, I need to do this, and then I need to do this. And she also had another obstacle after his passing away, but we got good news that we don't have to worry about that obstacle anymore, and we can just keep moving on. So that definitely helps out with that stress for her. Anyway, enough about me. Moving on to my next question. Obstacles are obviously good for storytelling. I mean, a good story involves a good obstacle for the hero to overcome. Now, my question is, her story tends to have obstacles and situations and scenarios that are a little too good to be true or too, like, fanciful to be true.
Yeah.
So, do you believe her story because of the weird obstacles she has? Or is there, like, certain parts that you believe and some things you don't believe? Why or why not? All that kind of jazz. Go.
Well, for Hap, not necessarily the plane and everything else like this, but obviously she was somewhere for like 10 years. Mm-hmm. And really the parts that really make me think, like, did those Sunday evening phone calls actually happen? Which is, I did say we were going to come back around to this. This is where I'm going to bring it back around. I don't know. I don't know that her father was actually. How did she get to the United States? Like, how did this happen? She kind of glossed over a big part of the story. You do have in this episode where the kids are trying to find information on their phones about. They did find the van and the accident in a Russian website. But, like, they're also going through this same thing.
Exactly.
It's like, what do we believe? What don't we believe in the story? And French obviously just wants to throw the entire thing out because he's got way too many other things to care about. And so he's just not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And doesn't want the milk to freeze. Yeah.
Okay. Without knowing what we know in future episodes, think back of when we originally watched it. Did you believe her story?
At this point, I was a little. I would say that I was a little doubting, because I really feel like, Okay, the dream thing with the statue, obviously it's not real because your dad didn't show up.
Yeah.
So, you become an unreliable storyteller at that point. Unreliable narrator. That's what I was looking for. That's the official term.
Yes.
And so, I don't know what I can trust from you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You've contradicted your own reliability.
Exactly. And thinking back to this, when I first watched it, I had, as I said in the first part or episode 1, I thought that she was possibly an alien. I don't know why I thought that.
Like K-Pax.
I don't know. Who knows? But I too was doubting her story, and like the kids, like, yeah, there might have been bits and pieces that was real. But as I was telling you, there's times when kids will think that something happened to them and they will very much exaggerate it. Like, was her father really who she thought he was? Or for all we know, he could have just been some Joe Schmo, and who happened to have like a nice house. Was he really some kind of big crime lord, or was it just that's what she thought he was?
Yeah. And
that's why. Was he really in hiding, or was it that he just didn't have the money to come over to the United States?
Yeah, and that's kind of the I think what I'm saying is that that's also sort of the big hook that was kind of like buried a little bit, because those are parts of the story that the audience really does want to know, that you kind of yada 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 over.
Exactly. And I don't know. I do believe that Abel and Nancy found her the way that she described.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she actually had the past before that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the full past before that.
Exactly. Yep. But I don't know. What do you think, listeners? I'm sure some of you were like, no, it was all real. And then others are like, yeah, I kind of agree with you. But I know that there's probably more people who thought that she was being truthful. But, I mean, it's really up to you to decide. It really doesn't. All in all, though, in terms of the story, it's not going to make a difference whether or not she was telling the truth or not. In my opinion, I don't think it makes a difference, because I still enjoyed it and I still liked the outcome. But anyway.
Yeah, and like we said at the beginning of the episode, we invite you to come and watch this with us. Enter into the conversation with us. We would love to find out what you guys think about the OA and about season 1, or part 1, before we get into part 2 sometime this year.
Sometime soon this year.
Yes, Netflix, please let us know when this is coming out.
Oh, yes, please, Netflix.
All we have is some teaser trailer, and it doesn't give us a date.
No, it doesn't give us anything. Nothing. Squat.
Yeah, just water.
Anyway, so if you want to join a lively debate, there are certain ways that you can go ahead and reach us. Are we at that point? Is that
yes.
Okay? Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure you didn't have anything else to say. So you can get a hold of us through many different areas of social media. We are most active on the Instagram at Patron Saints of Pop Culture. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at Real Honest Faith. We also have a website that you can go to as well that you can drop a message at. The website is thehonestfaith.com. And I know we told you guys that you needed to get to us by now about your information about or your feedback on Magician Season 3. But we'll give you to, what's today? Today's Friday, huh?
Yeah, we're recording on Friday, but this episode airs on Sunday. So today is Sunday, February 3rd, and so we're going to probably record by Wednesday-ish.
Yeah, so the 6th of February, if you guys want to give us any feedback on The Magicians, Season 3.
Season 3, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And, am I missing anything? I don't think so.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
So with all of this being said, we invite you to come and join the conversation.
Bye.